we're live with the Roundabout cast, episode 50-something, and we got the boys.
The boys.
Here come the boys.
I knew you were gonna do it.
Yeah.
I don't understand this reference. Okay, we got some. This should be a meaty one, but let's jump right into it because we don't want to be here forever.
Oh yeah.
I won't be here forever. I got shit to say.
Yeah, that's true. We got an entire Joe and Bradley block, and then some other stuff going on. But let's start with our smaller topics and our free talk. What has everyone been up to?
Well, this little game that I recently rediscovered in my library, called Sub Rosa.
Yeah.
Very cool little game. More people should know about it. It's like a team-based hidden role game where there's 3 different teams in this city, usually of about 5 people each. You're just a bunch of guys in suits, and you start in your company's headquarters. And of these 3 teams, one of them will start with a disc, and their goal is to sell the disc to one of the other teams and get a bunch of money. Mm-hmm. One of the other teams starts with like a ton of fucking money. So usually like the disc team would want to sell to this team because they start with a ton of extra money. There's a third team that starts with neither the disc or the money. So their goal is pretty much to either kill the disc team, take the disc and sell it for money, or they can steal all the money and try to buy the disc. They need to try to get one of the other 2 objectives. Mm-hmm. And so it just leads to all these scenarios where like you and your team are in the base and you get a phone call and one of the teams is like, hey, we have the disc, meet us at the burger joint in 5 minutes. And it's like, okay, well, do they actually have the disc, or are we going to show up and then we get sniped and they take our money?
The other thing is like, because I haven't played this, but I've watched videos of it. Every team has their own base that they start in, and it comes with like guns and cars and like radios and stuff. So it's kind of like a little mafia headquarters kind of deal.
Oh,
and like I think the third team also gets like a radio interceptor, so they can intercept the callings in between people.
Yeah.
So where did this come from? Like, I haven't heard of this at all.
I don't know. I saw it like years ago in like a video, and I was like, "This shit's so funny."
Yeah, that might have been where I first saw it too. And there's just like all kinds of crazy scenarios you can get into. Where, like, for example, my team had split up, and so one of the other teams had like stolen one of our team's phones and called me. So I assumed I was talking to someone on my team, and they like lured me to my death. And then there was another time where I was the leader of a team, and I got kidnapped by one of the other teams, and they basically told all my underlings, "You only get your boss back alive if you bring us the disc." So I'm just like,
so wait, do you lose if the boss dies?
Or
are you just role playing here?
The scoring's a little bit weird. So you basically get rewarded. Your team gets rewarded with money for whether you completed your objective or not.
Oh yeah.
And that carries over into the next round, so you can buy guns and discs and stuff. So like if everyone on your team gets totally wiped, then you pretty much lose that round just because you can't complete your objective. But I think if you complete your objective and then everyone on your team dies, like, you're good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I think also like generally the boss is the person with the most money because they end up buying everyone their stuff. So you kind of want to keep them alive because if he dies, he kind of loses all of his money too.
Yeah, and I just love the proximity-based voice chat in this big city because it's like you don't know where your teammates are, but all of a sudden you hear some gunshots and someone in the distance goes like, "Fuck!" and you're like, "That's my boy. I gotta go save him."
This is the same kind of joy that I feel like I was getting out of Project Winter when we were playing that. Proximity voice chat's really fun in these kinds of games.
I think this game would be tons of fun if we got as like just us in our Discord, because we can get like 7 to 9 people on Discord.
How many people are in each team?
Yeah.
Whenever I was playing, there was usually about 5 people on each team.
Damn.
But I think you can go like plus or minus 1 depending on like. I think if this team is doing worse, it like opens up another slot for them.
12 friends. That's hard.
It is hard. I believe in us.
All right. It's
It's
hard to get 10, let alone 12.
Yeah, it's true.
But that cool. Do you want to talk
It's all right.
about your pirate game that I think we only know as Bradley's pirate game?
Pirate game. Yeah.
Yeah, it's called Pixel Piracy, and
Right.
I think there's got to be a couple 100,000 people who own this game and don't realize that they own it. Because for most of the time that Terraria's been on Steam, if you buy Terraria, you also just get this game free.
Oh.
Because it's made by the people who made Terraria.
Mm-hmm.
Very sad because they abandoned Pixel Piracy, probably to make more Terraria content. So this game's kind of in a never-ending beta, but it's very cute. It's a little pirate simulation. You start out with just your captain on a tiny raft, and you pillage other pirates, explore islands, get gold. You can customize your boat and make it bigger. You know, when I say customize, like you place like each individual block of it to make it exactly the shape you want.
Your boat didn't really look like a boat for the longest time that you showed us. It was just kind of a fortress.
I don't know. It took a while to like, I don't know, get the resources to make my dream boat. But you just grow your crew, and the objective of the game is to hunt down the 4 emperors of the sea. And like I was playing this game a very long time before I had ever read One Piece or anything. So now I know it's a One Piece reference.
Yeah.
Nice.
Wow.
All right.
But it's very cute.
Very good. Moving swiftly along. Tyler, you got anything?
Yeah, boy. I've been working a lot, so I've been practicing some systems design stuff. So, like, I'm really glad that the Pokemon Arceus stuff kind of, like, showed some more details about their RPG mechanics this last week. I'm excited about the new Pokemon stuff. Not a part of our talk today, but...
I mean, in Free Talk, you can bring it up. They announced, or they showed more of Arceus. And they even sold me a little bit on the Diamond Pearl stuff, so good on them.
Diamond Pearl looked way better than it did
I'm
before.
so excited. I forgot how many, like, systems there were in Diamond and Pearl.
The
Like,
underground.
they're expanding the underground. They're bringing back Pokemon contests. I forgot about the little stickers you could use
were
to
so
decorate
good.
your summon
I
anime.
totally
Like,
forgot about the stickers.
I played all of those as a kid. I was like, I was already probably gonna get Pokemon Diamond and Pearl because Pearl is my favorite game. And so I was like I forgot about all those. And you get to there's 2 main mechanics that sold me instantly that I'm like every Pokemon game should have. One, you get your Pokemon to follow you. Any Pokemon you want, instant sell. Secondly, you can customize your little chibi characters. And I'm like, yo, I'm playing Maple Story 2 Pokemon. Let's do it.
I think to me, it's like I always love the contest as an alternative kind of like, I guess it's not an alternative because you still have to do the gym leader badges, but
Dude,
But there's its own
Pokemon
progression
contest-
system. Yeah.
Pokemon contest
it's a
is
whole-
harder than the base game. Let's be honest.
No, I think I love that
I don't
system.
know. Diamond and Pearl and Platinum are kind of actually they're like the most difficult games probably. IMO. Which is
But
I'm
anyway,
excited to have them back. I always wanted them to come back and be in the other games because I thought that was a really cool like other system you could do and like make it like a secondary path.
I've been practicing some systems design with Pokemon and like, sort of like I really like the Pokemon Coliseum system where it is all double battles and a little bit more RPG-ish because it's like you can't catch any Pokemon you want and it's like new Pokemon are like recruiting a new party member and it's like can it fit into your team, can it not? And it's like getting a new character in like Final Fantasy IV. You're like, yo, new party member.
It is
So,
a little
like,
different, yeah.
A more catered like experience. And so that's just a little bit of design stuff I've been doing in the background.
But can't you just trade the Pokemon you have from like Pearl or whatever into Coliseum?
No.
Oh,
not until you beat the game, and you can only use them in certain areas.
Okay.
Plus, it's not even all of them, right? You can only use the shadow Pokemon that you cleanse.
You can trade Pokemon. It basically how it works, if I remember correctly, from like if you want to take Ruby and Sapphire Pokemon into Coliseum, it would like take a copy of your Pokemon party and like take them in, and like you could use those in certain tournaments and like battle tower stuff.
Interesting.
I'm sure we're not getting this confused with Battle Revolution, right? And I think that's what
Yeah.
Zero was thinking, in which
Because-
you bring your team in and then you're fighting with the 3D
But
models.
I think I also remembered though
You could do that.
a big appeal
And-
about Coliseum for me was that you could get the 3 legendary dogs and trade them to yourself.
I
think
could be
you
getting them
trade.
mixed up.
I think you could trade away from it, but I
But you
don't.
can't.
I don't know.
I don't know. Doesn't
Really
matter.
anything.
Game's just
Yeah.
game.
Well,
Anyway,
I like Pokemon
um,
Stadium too. So
Right.
That's a good game.
Jazz.
I also I've been playing a lot of Battlefield 5.
Yeah.
I haven't played a Battlefield in a hot minute. Battlefield 5 was free on Amazon and Twitch Prime, so I was like, you know what, fine. I've been
So-
enjoying it.
did we go from Battlefield 1 to Battlefield 5?
Correct.
We
Yes.
sure did.
That's correct.
And now we're going to Battlefield 2042.
That game,
fuck.
I am actually really excited about that game. I'll just
I'm
throw
going to
that out
get it because apparently they have like an escape from Tarkov mode in it, where it's PvP, PvE.
I don't give a fuck about that. The contemporary timed battlefields are the ones that get me super in. So like 4 and Bad Company 2, contemporary, like I don't like going back for shooters and I don't like going forward for shooters. I don't even like shooters.
I am
Yours
really
are good.
excited for the Battlefield Portals. So Battlefield Portals is something that might get us
Oh,
to
yeah.
all play this game. Let me tell you about it because it doesn't make any sense. So
Alright.
it's what's that game you play, Bradley? Like Totally Accurate Battle Simulator?
Yeah.
It's Totally Accurate Battlefield Simulator.
Oh, fuck.
So you can take like 4 guys decked out with M4s and heartbeat radars and shit versus like 64 German soldiers from World War One.
But those are players.
This
they're
isn't
not,
Battlefield.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
in Battlefield.
Yeah.
Oh my
Which
god.
one?
The new one. It's
Wait,
a game
is
mode
it a
called
simulation? It's a
Portals.
simulation.
No,
No,
you
it's-
play it.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's a different game mode. It's
Yeah.
basically like
Tyler, that's an unfair comparison. That is not the same thing.
Yeah, but it's. I mean, in Totally
the same
Accurate Battle
energy.
Simulator, you can
Yes.
play
Still
the
getting-
characters, can't you?
Yeah,
Getting
that's
Yeah, you
not the-
can. Yeah, you can.
That's not the
But
primary
there's
game.
also like they advertise a mode where it's like 20
drone.
20 drones versus 1 tank.
Yeah.
Now that feels like totally accurate.
It's just fun gimmicky game modes that they're
It's-
leading into. Like they're leading into all this customization, and it's
Mhm.
like it's not the type of player experience that we really get in a lot of bi-yearly updated games.
Yeah. I know Halo always has its Forge. I know Halo the
Yeah.
Master Chief Remastered Collection got like the huge Forge, which is all the games put together. That was
I guess I should clarify this podcast is in no way sponsored or product advertisement in any way. I'm genuinely excited for these things. But
Tyler
I
has to
also
say that because reasons.
played the Back 4 Blood beta too.
How was that?
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I didn't hate it. I don't think it could be a full $60 game is the only issue. I think that's what like, a lot of people are like. They're like, yeah, this game's great. $60 though, like we can get more content for $60. But it's Left 4 Dead, and they built on top of it like a Apex Legends type looter system where you like have like 4 or 5 different attachments for your guns, and you can upgrade your guns throughout the run. There's a currency where you can buy like upgrades and healing stuff. They add a lot of more action RPG elements to it, and action RPG shooters. Is that a thing? Are RPG shooters?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Like
That's
I know that's what
Borderlands.
Destiny and
Borderlands.
yeah, but like you don't customize like your stock and your scope and all those modes. You just
Oh,
get
that's
the
good.
gun with the different stock or scope.
Oh.
So it's a gun. It's a shooter.
It's
I
a
see.
schluter.
Yeah. Not quite, but it's fun. It's harder than Left 4 Dead. They have a
That's
stamina system that I'm not a fan of because it's like in Left 4 Dead that like how you there was an achievement in Left 4 Dead called "What Are You Trying to Prove?" It was beat every campaign on expert. Like one of the hardest things to do in the entire game because like 2 or 3 hits like downed you.
Yeah.
And it was really difficult to have like 3 other competent friends that like you could beat the campaign with. Well, I ended up getting it by me and another friend playing a game called Leave the AI because AI, like Valve AI, is ridiculous. They got aim hacks and shit. And we would just like skip through everything. We would just sprint through the entire levels, not killing any zombies. And they got rid of that. So like, there's like this stamina sprint system, and like, otherwise you move so slow away from the zombies or the ridden or whatever they're called. It's not bad. I would say like the beta definitely should have been tried. I would say wait for it to maybe go down in price, or don't buy it as soon as it comes out.
It'd be interesting because Left 4 Dead was like $40, I think, when it came out. It was a long game.
Yeah,
it was pretty decently like scoped out. So I'm interested to see.
It definitely already has a lot more content, even in like the beta. The beta almost had like as much content. Like it had like one campaign is like 10 chapters in it.
So because like in Left 4 Dead, you had like the 4 areas, and then each of those areas had like 4 chapters in them, and each of those chapters were like at least 20 to 30 minutes long. I feel like that's like a huge amount of stuff.
They weren't that long.
I think
maybe 10, 15.
You also did just say you skipped through everything.
Yeah, you skipped through everything.
Yeah, but that's on okay. On Expert, when you skip through everything, each section is like actually a minute or 2 long. Like that's how short and fast you're running through that. You're basically playing it like speedrun Mario, where you're like jumping on top of walls and fences and shit. And like
I also know there are specific sections in that game where you cannot progress because there's a time you have to last. But whatever, it doesn't matter.
No, you alert them. My favorite Bart pit was this crane. There's this crane, and you have to get up, and you have to make the crane like move the bridge across. And it's like, as soon as you start the crane, like the horde comes, and me and my friend would just sit in the crane door, wait for it to finish, and we just keep like knocking them off the crane ladder the entire time. And we're like, then we're done. You throw the pipe bomb, get out of there. Get one shot by tank, instant death, and then one of them gets to the death room, safe room.
Nice.
Cool.
All right.
Well, that's Back for Blood. All right. Next up, Joe, what you got?
Okay. I watched a bunch of movies past 2-3, not a bunch of movies, but a good amount of movies within the first 3 weeks or so that we haven't talked about this. The first one was Boogie Nights, which stars Mark Wahlberg, Burt Reynolds, Don Cheadle, the guy from Ant-Man that runs the lock-picking company or whatever it is. Michael Pena, John C. Reilly, Julianne Moore, and it's about Michael Wahlberg having the biggest dick in the porn industry in the 1980s. Mark Wahlberg, I'm sorry.
Oh, Michael.
It's a good movie. Really good. It's just about like drugs and addiction in the porn industry, weirdly enough. That's a roller coaster movie because you're like, haha, very funny porn movie, to like, oh my god, this is just pure depression the entire time.
Fun.
I highly recommend that movie. I also saw Jungle Cruise, which I really enjoyed. Starred Dwayne The Rock Johnson. It was really cheesy, but it was really fun, kind of action-packed. It was one of those like B popcorn movies, and I saw it by myself. I was like, I'm enjoying myself with this. I'm having a great time.
Did they use any of the iconic Jungle Cruise tour guidelines?
Oh, they did them all.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like that movie. I think it was just super fun. It's not Pirates of the Caribbean like world building level, but at the end of the day, I was like, you know what? This was a competently made movie that had a beginning, middle, and end, and the characters had motivations, and there were some good jokes. I enjoyed it. Now, Free Guy, however, Free Guy is all over the place. There wasn't a single laugh in the theater the entire time I went.
Man.
No. I can't believe that.
I think that back. There was one decent laugh at the very end. I'm like, all right, that's a cute joke. And then the joke extended. And I'm like, all right, this is getting eye rolly-ish.
Ooh.
Is it like Green Lantern level?
I think it's different, right? Because it's just a bad comedy.
Maybe.
Then
it's just it's like.
Is it cringy? If you're a true,
it's pretty cringy.
I'm gonna say it. If you're a true gamer, is it cringy?
wait, what's that Adam Sandler movie? Is it called?
The one with the Pac-Man.
Yeah.
Oh.
Ooh.
Tyler's right. Adam Sandler.
I'm gonna say it's Playas. I know that's not the name.
Y'all,
but that's
there
what
was
it
a
would be.
time. Wait, what's that fucking movie called? Game Over with the where
Gamer.
is that the one where the old video games are attacking shit?
No, that's the one.
Pixels.
Pixels. Yeah, Pixels. There was a time when my younger cousin was like, "Oh my god, that's the best movie ever made." He was like he was like, "This is the greatest movie ever," and I was like, "I don't know if I like it that much." He's like, "What are you talking about, man? You like games?" And I'm like,
To be fair, I'm gonna say this.
Oh, come on.
Adam Sandler's humor has been pretty straightforward across the board his entire life.
So if you
Some of
like,
it's-
so you're saying if you like him, you might genuinely like him no matter what. Maybe.
What I was saying is I really think it's like your Studio Ghibli movie where you can watch like 2 or 3 for the first time, and then you're like, oh, one of those first 3 is my favorite, even though it's not the best. It's just like, it's just Adam Sandler, you know?
Weirdly enough, you make sense. As terrible as that demonstration
I guess
was.
so. For me, it's
In a-
Waterboy.
Yeah, that's like what we had, you know?
Yeah, it's Waterboy.
Like, hold on, but I'm not gonna say Waterboy is like my favorite comedy movie. Like, Pixels.
I'm not talking about comedy movies. I'm
Okay,
talking about
just
Adam
Lamar.
Sandler.
Sandler movie.
That's not the conversation Bradley's having with his
but-
cousin. I just wanna clarify.
There's multiple times. There are multiple times in the movie where they cut back to the real world and you see the game developers. And number one, they had to make an effort to make sure every single person's computer monitor is vertical.
Not bad, honestly.
That's number one. Number two, Taika Waititi talks like no game developer that exists. Period.
I thought he was
He's
supposed
like
to be an insane CEO kind of guy.
He's the game designer of this game. That's what his title is. And like no game designer would talk like this. Or have an office that's on the top of a skyscraper with a giant ass window.
Oh, as if the game designer is getting the big office.
Yeah.
No one in the actual dev team is getting the nice.
There's only one designer that ever could have been, and he sold it to Microsoft.
And it's Cliff Blazinski or whatever.
Only Notch would have had an evil villain top of headquarters designer.
I'm gonna say the controversial thing. I'm kind of tired of Taika Waititi in every movie these days.
Yeah.
Plus, there's that picture of him in the set of Thor: Love and Thunder where he's making out with the 2 actresses. I'm like, you lucky bastard.
Yeah.
I'm just tired of him winning. Okay.
The other part that didn't make sense in this movie was that part of the movie is that they're trying to find this secret game code. Or this game code.
The secret game code.
Like, so
will it turn him into a real boy if he gets the game code?
No. So basically, these 2 developers developed a super advanced AI code that like made the AI have like artificial intelligence, basically, and they could create their own like logical paths, essentially, or something like that. And they made a game out of it. And so then they sold it to Taika Waititi, and Taika Waititi used that game code to make his GTA ripoff. But the way they did this was that they act like Taika Waititi took the actual game itself and then just put Grand Theft Auto literally on top of it.
I don't follow.
Exactly.
Okay. Cool.
So I was like, this doesn't make any sense.
I heard some people like this movie, so I don't know. It's probably the more you know, the worse it is kind of movie.
Yeah,
Maybe if you like Deadpool, you'll like this movie. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of Deadpool humor, which I think really kills it because I'm not a big fan of the Deadpool movies. But like, I don't know, man. And also like it makes me cringe just thinking about it. Now, granted, someone said that this movie was worse than Suicide Squad, the David Ayer one. I'm like, no, it's not that bad.
Is that the new one or the old one?
No, the old one.
The old one.
Which we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Alrighty, and then as for me, I've had some time off, so I just came back from vacation and been grinding away at some games that we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
But also Pokemon Unite, we talked about it since last time. I've since played like at least 30 minutes every day to do my dailies. I just have a lot of fun with that game, and I hit Masters, And yesterday I had like a stream of like just the worst games. But that game is developing quickly as far as the meta goes, and they're adding new characters at a good pace.
It's not developing fast enough. Where the fuck is Blastoise?
Where's Blastoise? Please have Mamoswine instead. Not even leaked. They like created Mamoswine that day just to delay the blast. He comes out when the mobile version comes out. Surely.
He's in the game. He is literally in the
No,
game.
they just put Wartortle. They didn't put the man.
So who's been released since launch? We've got a Speedster, Zeraora, because he wasn't in the beta.
At launch.
Yeah, but he wasn't in the beta. He's new.
I'm gonna say Gardevoir.
That's an attacker. Then we had a support. So Blastoise might be in there, you know?
Blastoise is a defender. We already know his moveset, actually. You can go look it up. Because
he's in the beta.
Blastoise was in the beta, so it's like they did make the other two stages. I don't know what's going on. And then me and Tyler just randomly started playing Pokemon Masters today because I think the Pokemon Direct reminded me that Pokemon Masters is cool. So I do my seasonally play it for a couple of days. Log in, have 900 stamina, be overwhelmed.
Man, I would like to get in Pokemon Masters, but like I already use a lot of my mobile game fuel on doing One Piece Treasure Cruise. When that stuff hit, I start doing that again. So I really don't want to do that.
It's the 2-year anniversary, so they're like, here's like 18,000 gems. Go roll, you bitch.
Actually,
get addicted.
Just for shits and giggles, you should log in because you're going to pull 100 characters over the course of the next few days.
Yeah, and you're gonna have enough stamina and like skip tickets to just like skip the whole game.
Oh yeah, I still have like 600 skip tickets, and I used a bunch this morning.
Pokemon Mobile treats their anniversary events pretty well.
Yeah, because Pokemon Go is skipping Gen 7 for whatever reason.
Wait, did they really?
Yeah, that's what I hear. That they're adding in the Galar Pokemon because they're having that event where like 3 of them are in the game. But from what I read, they never did Alola. Like they do
that every year though, because like what they do is they'll like tease a couple. No, they just tease. They sprinkle in a few from the next gen.
But that's not the next gen. I'm saying they're skipping 7 from what I've read.
You don't know that. Don't listen to.
It's just what I.
Don't listen to consumers.
I mean, I'm just.
Don't listen to the peasants.
Don't listen to consumers. They don't know nothing.
Anyways, that's what I got going on. Some Teppen as well. Let's jump into the news.
And that's the update. Now time for the news. I'm dying.
That's our soundbite. I'm clipping that, and we're going to just put that in every single time we finish free talk.
Did you choke on your water, buddy?
Yeah, I did. I choked a little bit.
Yeah, that's how it goes. All right, why don't we talk about Neo, The World Ends With You first?
This is the fucking game!
Don't overly spoil this.
No, we won't. Actually, we're going to talk about this after, but probably more of a narrative time next time. Let's just talk about the mechanics this time.
Yeah. Dude, gotta say, been waiting for this game for like 8 years, something like that, and I just always hoped we would get a sequel to The World Ends With You, and we finally got it, and it was better than I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah, like I never thought this game would come, and here it is. And at first, I wasn't sure about like the 3D look and the new combat just from what it showed on the first trailer. But I was like, "It's The World Ends With You. I'm gonna buy it." But as soon as the demo came out and I played it, I was like, oh, this has potential. And I like the story, it feels like they picked up right where they left off. Like the way that they write is like a very direct sequel from The World Ends With You. And it's got all the Tatsuya Nomura visuals that you've come to expect. It looks great. It's quite the looker.
Visually, it is so good.
Like, it's clearly, like, budget, but there's so much style everywhere. And that's kind of what you come to The World Ends With You for. Like, for example, all the buildings are on a tilt shift to make it look like you're playing the DS version.
I know, it is so crazy.
It's fucking trippy in some of the areas, too.
It's so trippy. It makes it look like the buildings are warping, but, like, in a cool way, you know?
There's that one street that has, like, that guardrail through the middle, Bradley. And, like, when you're walking down that street, the buildings are, like, literally, like, unfurling. It makes me sick, but it's also very cool.
And like the opening movie for this game, when you start a new game, I was like, this is like This is right up there with the Persona 5 opening. I'm like, it's so good.
It really brought a smile to my face. It was so fucking stylish, and you're like, oh, we're immediately back, and there's all these characters you don't know popping up. Combat wise, I dare say they outdid the original by quite a bit.
They so did. Like, one of my biggest fears is that the original The World Ends With You had such a unique, like, among all video games, combat system.
It is. I'm gonna go out of the limb and say it's the most unique combat system of any game.
There's nothing else like it.
Yeah.
And I was so...
Is it more unique than Game of the Year of 2020?
Pathologic? I mean, that's not a very combat.
No, what was the other one?
13 Sentinels?
13 Sentinels?
Yeah, it's more unique than 13 Sentinels.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
13 Sentinels just ATB.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't know anything that's even a little bit like The World Ends With You's
there's attacks you have to do by yelling into the microphone. Like, it's just there's no...
Wait, on the DS or the Switch version?
On the DS.
Oh man, those are great.
However, I will say, as novel as that combat system it is clunky. Like you're always gonna have missed inputs because of just the nature of the beast.
I really didn't want to. I really didn't like playing The World Ends With You on the Switch version because you had to use the touchpad.
Addendum to that. I used the little stylus pens that I bought to play Puzzle and Dragons, and it's really good like that. However,
I'm sure it is.
At the end of the day, DS is how that game was meant to be played.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was really disappointed they didn't adapt it for the Switch as more of a console game, but it's whatever.
So
I was just really scared going into Neo because I was like, The World Ends With You had such a unique combat system. I think it would be still fun, but really sad if they gave us like a just really old school traditional control scheme.
Yeah.
But they made something so unique even on the Switch.
It's like if the DS was made, if the World Ends With You was made to take every component of the DS and use it. I feel like Neo is trying to take every component of a controller and use it. And like that's less unique by default, but they really stretch how you use a controller. Like you are doing like a Rubik's Cube and pressing every fucking button and holding and tapping. Like it's kind of nutty. The dexterity you're doing with your hand.
Like I'll be holding both R and ZR with one finger
and mashing square.
Or it's like I'll be holding ZR and mashing R with my finger, and I have to know exactly when to let go of ZR. I'm like,
yeah. To explain this combat system, basically, all of your party members are mapped to a button depending on the pin that you equip to them. So say, and it can change. So like, say the slashing pin that you start The World Ends With You with, that's mapped to triangle always, and all slashing pins are of that same style. So you're like controlling your entire party simultaneously in real time and switching who you're controlling by just pressing buttons. It's still innovative and very cool. But the combos you make are so sick.
Oh, like this is it is a combo-based game. Like, you are meant to combo these abilities together in interesting ways.
Because a core mechanic of the combat is each ability has a condition in which it'll trigger something called a beatdown, which will mark an enemy, and if that enemy is marked, if you hit them with another person, it'll give you a bonus, and that's how you build up your supers. So, Joe, if you'll remember in The World Ends With You, you're passing the puck all the time.
Yeah.
This is their version of pass the puck, is you're like timing attacks and like getting conditions. Like sometimes it's knock an enemy against the wall, sometimes it's like hit an enemy in the apex of the arc that they're launched in, but sometimes it's like strike the enemy when it randomly catches on fire from this pin that can set them ablaze. So like there's all these things that you're juggling, and like it's just super addicting. But then also,
I love playing that game.
Already, they have more attacks than the original, because something that you need in The World Ends With You is like dozens of unique psychic attacks that the characters can do. And I'm already like, they're blowing it out of the water. You're just constantly running into cool new attacks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. And they're also implementing like elemental systems, so even like, it's really smart because there's some attacks that are like kind of like each other, but they mechanically function differently because of some of their elemental properties. So they're really like being very efficient. And this is also a game made in Unity, and I like it any time where a very good game is made in Unity because you're like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, fuck you, Unreal fucking haters.
Narratively, we won't get too into it. But I'm roughly where Bradley is now. We're both partially into week 2.
Yeah, I think you're just like a day ahead of me now.
Yeah. I will say the weakness of this game is the same as the previous game, where it's like the days have a lot of filler, where you're just spending time with the characters and running from point A to point B. Thankfully, the combat's great and the characters are fun to spend time with.
Yeah, man, dude, the conversations are so charming. I love every character in this game, and like,
Yeah, honestly, even the mean ones, and there's an annoying party member that became very endearing to me over time. She just like kind of beat herself down into my mind. I'm like, okay, even you're cool. So like, I'm into all the characters.
man, this is just a game where, like, I can really tell just based on like the art and the dialogue and the combat system that everybody who worked on this game probably loved working on this game.
I get that same feeling. Recently, me and Bradley ran into like a surprise hidden fourth party member that joined our team, and we're like, whoa. I feel like this plot, it's taking its time going there, because the world ends with you, like, as soon as week 1's done, you're already getting like massive plot twists, but I feel like this game's very slowly building up to an even bigger plot twist than the original games had.
I think you're right.
But we'll have to see. Join us next time if we're done. Next time that we finish, we'll talk about this more.
Oh, yes.
But that's Neo. Joe, why don't you do your Resident Evil block? Right on time for Halloween.
You know, this is the time where you stop the podcast, skip like 30 minutes, and then listen to the rest of it, and then when the Halloween comes around, you come back to this spot.
Just listen.
Yeah. So I got my PlayStation 5. And
you're welcome.
Yes.
Shout out to Cole.
Yeah. Rip Cole. Buller's not there to see him anymore. Anyways, I got the PlayStation 5, and one of the games I wanted to play on it was Resident Evil 8. However, Willard told me I had to play 7. Like you need to do it. And I was like, all right, fine, I'll play 7.
Which I started playing.
And with Bradley also started playing.
We'll circle that to that in a bit.
Yeah. And I played 7. And here's the thing about 7. So Resident Evil 7 demo came out, and I played the demo, and I was like, this is actually scaring the absolute shit out of me. I can't play this game. Because it's like that opening to the game, that was the demo, is just so stressful. It's super tense and super creepy. And the thing about 7, like, what really creeps me out is, like, you can see the route that someone can get to that, like, position of, like squalor and, like, depravity, where it's like you have dishes stacked up everywhere, you just have like food rotting in the sink kind of deal.
Yeah, there's a scene very early on in 7 where you're being forced to eat dinner with the bakers, and it is just the grossest shit.
Yeah.
And grandma is just there dead and they're stabbing each other. It's not a good time.
That scared the fucking shit out of me.
So we'll go through the orders of me playing these games. So I played 7, and I really, really enjoyed this game a lot. I thought, and Willard put it best, for like, you play the game, it doesn't feel like a Resident Evil game, but like halfway through, it starts to feel, it gets its legs, and it feels like, oh, this is Resident Evil. I wouldn't say like around the time when you go into like, you start fighting the other minions.
Yes, exactly. Once you start fighting the generic enemy of the game.
Yeah, and you're like, all right.
One weakness of 7 is that, boy, there's a lot of that generic enemy.
Yeah, that is a huge weakness, which got rectified at 8, which I was super happy about. So 7, I think. So a great thing about these two games, 7 and 8, is that they took conventional tropes of horror and put them in their own spin. So like, this is the American tale horror story kind of deal, where you have the crazy backcountry people and like the different tropes you get about that. Like, you get the Texas Chainsaw Killer, that's Jack. You get.
You should probably stop there.
Yeah, but like you get that, but there are 2 others.
Yeah.
In there, actually 2 or
4. There are 4.
4.
Can't
there are
forget
4
about
others.
Evie.
Yeah, but like, I think they do a really good job of taking those American tropes and translating them over, giving them their own Resident Evil spin.
By the way, I don't know if Tyler knows this. 7's very based on like bayou horror, like swampy horror. Which I feel like is up your alley.
Yeah.
That's Village, right?
No,
that's
7
that's
is
7.
not Village.
Biohazard.
Okay. I have them that I need to play now that I have access to Sony consoles, but I think
They're on
Bradley,
PC.
do you have? I need to
You
get.
get 7 for free. Fun fact.
Oh, I think I have it then. I think I'm just waiting to play the VR one. Is that 7?
That's 7.
That's 7.
7's in VR,
Oh,
which Bradley,
But you said I need to play
you
6.
would've-
Yeah.
No, you
No,
don't.
no,
God,
don't play
never
6.
listen.
Don't, no.
You need to play 7 and play 8, but you can just jump straight into 7.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Bradley, you would have loved the VR version of 7, but I think you would also like. I hear it like it's shit your pants scary. It's
I have very exceptionally heard that Resident Evil 7 VR is a very amazing experience.
You don't fuck around with that one. That one's for real.
Yeah. Bradley's at the point now where he's at the Jack boss fight, and I think that's the one like kind of big dip in that game is I think that boss fight's a little bit too frustrating because it's just a janky melee fight.
The combat's janky in general. It mostly derives its fun from tension.
Yeah.
As opposed to like being like, because you're not moving fast deliberately. You're supposed to be like kind of a janky shooter to make it scarier.
Yeah. Tank
So
control,
the
baby.
boss fights, especially in 7, the boss fights don't always work out. I feel like the 8 boss fights are quite good, but we'll get there. Mwah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Overall, I'm really, really enjoying the experience. I think just in particular, this one boss fight, I'm like, all right, come on.
If I was to tell you, Bradley, I think the first part of that game with Jack is my least favorite part of the entire game. It's
That is
all
such
up
a
afterwards.
hot take, actually.
I-
That is genuinely a hot take.
There's a scene where you beat somebody, you go into a room, go like, oh, I have to go get that person's thing, and you turn around, you look in a hole, and you see something, you're like, no.
That's the part where in VR the streamer Maximilian dude was actually crying, like he was dying.
God damn.
And then you go fight that boss. and you're
Joe,
like, oh,
imagine
no.
that area at 8 in VR. No, thank you, sir. No, thank you, sir.
But like 7. So like the thing about I like the Resident Evil series. I started playing around 4 with the GameCube.
I haven't played 4, so I'm a fake fan.
I've played like half of 4 basically, but like I played 4. I was like, I kind of like this setting, and then I played all of 5 in co-op. Like I played the complete co-op,
Which is a
with
great
somebody.
time from what I hear. Like everyone's
Which
like
is like-
5 is not like the best Resident Evil, but it's super fun.
Mhm. It's a great co-op game, but man, it kind of like burns into my head of like frustration sometimes because if you're not playing co-op and you have the dumb AR partner who won't like
Shiva.
listen to you. And then 6 I never played because I got horrible reviews.
Yeah.
So I just didn't play it. And the big thing about Resident Evil is that I hate their endings because they always end the same way basically, which is they end with like you go to the origin location and it's always some stupid ass big lab.
Hey,
Yeah.
it's not that bad in the 2 remake.
It's not that
the
bad
hallways
in
with
the
the
remake.
liquors are pretty good in that one, and the plant people, that one's fun.
It breaks the tension for me.
7
Like,
definitely breaks that mold, and then
Oh
it
my God.
super breaks that mold.
yeah.
So, Resident Evil in labs is like Final Fantasy in crystals.
Yes, actually.
Yes, actually. The thing, 7's ending. I got to the ending. I was like, all right, I'm dragging this portion. I got to the ending that it kind of represents in those labs. I was like, this is exactly what I want. Because the big thing about going from the rest of the game to the ending is there's a break in disbelief in what's happening here. Because you enter this fucking lab and it doesn't look like anything else that you've ever seen the entire time you're going through the city. And you're just like, this is just kind of out of place, I feel. And like it felt like that in Resident Evil 5 and Resident Evil 4. I don't remember much about Resident Evil 4's ending, so I can't remember. I just remember being frustrated with it. But the point being is that like my suspension of disbelief and therefore my terror is gone. I got to the end of 7 and I was just like, fuck.
That's interesting. A lot of people say that that segment is the weakest part, but not by much. I'd say 8 is the only one where everyone's like, oh, the ending bits are the best part for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because man,
yeah,
we'll get to it.
Yeah, but 7's ending, I play that. Number 1, it's a great inversion.
I love the twist.
7's
got a great twist.
It's so good. I think it was everything I wanted in like how I want that horror game to wrap up. I was like, okay. And the thing about Resident Evil is that it's a game that in the series as a whole has a theme of like you start pathetic and scared, but by the end of the game you grow with the character to be not afraid of the game.
Yeah.
Which I think is a great kind of arc for you as a player and as the character. Which is why I really like the games, because by the end of it, you don't feel as helpless as you did at the beginning.
Yeah, they're not helpless the whole way through.
Yeah, but 7's great. I'm going to just stop talking about that there. I played 8, and I should mention that when I played 7, I started at around 6 o'clock, stayed up till 1 o'clock.
You went
So
ham.
one or two. Actually, I think it was like 2:30 in the morning. I was like, oh fuck, I gotta go to sleep. Started playing Village. I started at 5 o'clock. I stopped at 6 a.m.
Village is the most addicting game I've played in a long time. It just goes after. Do you agree though that first section is bullshit weird?
I hate that section for a few reasons. Because when I finally realized what I was supposed to do, it felt great doing it. Like I was like, oh my god, okay, so I need to do this. I have to be really precise. I have to be intricate in my decision making in here. Because a lot of Resident Evil's tension is not from like things jumping out of you; it's your limited ammo supply and resources that you have.
Yeah. And you're super limited in that sequence, but you have environmental things you can play with.
Yeah, and so once I figured out, like, oh, I can shoot this bag, and I can close this door, and like when they come in here, I can shoot this thing. It sets the house on fire. I can jump out the window, and I can run. So that helped out a lot. And when I finally beat it, the game just accelerates up in quality.
Oh, it skyrocketed. It
honestly, if you gave me the game and the game was just the first castle, it was $60. I'd be like, "This is a great game. I'm done. It's fantastic. I'm solid."
Tyler, hold on. Hold it. Why are you rolling your eyes? The first castle is great. However, that's not even the best part. I think the game is even better after the Demiscu castle. Controversially, I've heard that people don't like the factory. The factory is my favorite part of the game.
Oh, the factory's great. The factory does what I love about the Resident Evil games is when you have those big guns. Yeah.
Which one's the factory?
It's a portion that's in 8. It's like.
Is it Insect Girl or Baby?
Neither.
Neither. It's the.
I'm not gonna talk. It's Heisenberg. If you know who that is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Walter White is
the game. One who knocks.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah. That guy.
So he but like I forgot what I was fucking saying.
It just skyrockets and
it just goes. Yeah. It goes, accelerates. I love the system of you have the hub, which is the village, and you go to the different realms of the different lords of darkness.
It's the plot of Dark Souls 1.
Yeah. So you go. You have 4 different like kind of lords you have to go slay, and once you do that, you're able to complete your quest and fight the final boss.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit more twisted than that.
In there, yeah.
Yeah. Which I won't go into. Obvious plot twist was obvious.
Did you think so? I was still pretty shocked by it. It makes complete sense, but I was suspending my disbelief.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. The Chris Redfield plot twist was obvious.
Oh, gotcha. Yes.
Yeah, that was obvious.
Tyler, you don't know. You can't react. You don't know what we're talking about.
I do know. I can react.
You should, Tyler, have you watched this game? You should have played it yourself.
I watched the donkey video.
That's not enough.
I know what happens.
No, you don't. The donkey video doesn't. The donkey's smart. He cut off. He didn't do the spoilers.
Maybe I might have seen a second video then, because I'm pretty sure I know what that spoiler is.
You can PM it to me or whatever.
Yeah, but either way, but the other one I was like, okay, that's fine, makes perfect sense. But I think what's great about both of these games and why Willard told me to play this is the character Ethan. He's one of the best protagonists in this game that is just a plain nobody.
He is the best generic character I've ever played.
Because he goes through this arc in 7 and 8 of like feeling helpless, and there's a moment at the end of 7 where he gets a gun and cocks. He's like, "I'm gonna go kill this fucking bitch," and you're like, "Yes, we are, Ethan. Let's go."
Pause. Tyler's big spoilers. The first scene in the game. So yeah.
I thought that was the end of the game. My bad.
No.
That's
good. I don't know the spoilers then.
But Ethan's character arc
Pause the game.
is
Pause
so...
the game.
No. Finish it up. Hurry, you got 5 minutes.
Yeah, this is a good cutting point.
I have another game.
Yeah, let's get to it. Resident Evil 3.
Resident Evil. All right, so Ethan's a great character. I played Resident Evil 3 remake right afterwards because I got 2 and 3 on the PlayStation for $30, and I've already played 2, so I wanted to play 3. That game is very good for $30. It's 100% worth it. It's very short. It's very linear. I had a blast playing it. It's just classic Resident Evil. The big complaint about 3 from other people who've played the original 3 is that Nemesis isn't a mechanic in the game. He's just a set piece, which I can understand.
He's in the remake. He is too, just multiple times.
No, and so in 3, the original, he was like Mr. X, where he would follow you around the level.
Okay, gotcha.
In 3, he only shows up in certain portions, and is only there for a few minutes or for a boss fight. He doesn't follow you around like Mr. X does.
Right.
So that's a big mechanical difference because you can kind of time out when he's going to show up. Meanwhile, Mr. X like kicks down the door and it's like, "I'm here now, bitch.
X gonna give it to you."
Yeah.
Man, X was so stressful.
Anyways, I've played now all the modern Resident Evil games. So the official rankings of them are 8, 2, 7, 3. I should mention even 3 is at like top of A tier, so you should still play it.
Nice. I should pick up 3 at some point then.
I highly recommend it.
Jill's very pretty. But also, I know... No, not Joe. Jill.
Yeah,
you fucking wish, dork.
Jill is very pretty.
I like... The one thing I know about that game is she says, "You want stars? I'll show you stars." I'm like, that's a good fucking line.
Yeah. The boss fight in that game is fucking ridiculous. They did a good job of minimalizing the lab in this game, too, where they made that a much more...
But did you have to shoot the glowing weak point?
Yeah, you do.
Yeah,
but like, you know what?
Evil.
But you know what?
8 doesn't have that.
8 doesn't have that.
8's final boss is a Bloodborne boss, and it's fucking rad.
8's final boss is a Monster Hunter fight. Yeah,
and
like that shit was like fucking crazy.
The thing with the darkness, I was like, we have mechanics? What is happening?
Yeah.
We'll talk about these games more Game of the Year, but we should wrap it up here.
Yeah,
and take a quick break as we.
All of these games are worth buying. All these games are worth buying. Please buy all of them.
All right, there you go.
Yeah.
We're back. Before we move on from Resident Evil real quick, Joe, you all laughed at me when I said that the village was hard to navigate. Joe, come on. Come on, is that map not bullshit? It shows you
that is kind of bullshit.
Yeah, fuck all of you.
Because
you all laughed.
There's literally a road in there that says you can go down, and then when you go to that road, there's a cart in the middle of it.
And that happens like 3 times on the map, and you're all like, haha, Willer, no direction. I was like, no, guys, I promise.
He's not wrong. Like, at least in like 2 and 3, it shows you that those are in sections you have to go around.
Let's
also,
I'm gonna shuffle things a bit here. Tyler,
okay.
Why don't you do Black Widow, since I believe you're the only one who watched it, so you are the sole opinion of this podcast.
It was pretty good.
Oh, really?
I didn't think it was bad. Like, there's definitely worse Marvel movies.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fairly positive review. I've seen some mixed to negative reviews on that.
For an origin story, everything is pretty solid. It's not even an origin story. It's just like it's after Civil War.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is it after Civil War?
Yeah, it takes place after Civil War.
That's interesting.
I kind of don't like the fact that the end credit scene ties into current day shit. I guess I would have liked if the movie had like her character end, but like every other Marvel hero who's leaving the franchise, they have to have someone to replace them. Actress who's replacing her is going to be great.
Should Bradley be excited about this?
Yeah, hold on. Isn't my wife in this movie?
Yeah. Is that who it is?
Florence Pugh from Midsommar.
Yeah. She's gonna
replace Black Widow?
She's White Widow.
Black Widow's dead, y'all. We know that.
I know, but Bradley's coming. I can hear it.
He's splooged. But yeah, she's gonna stick around.
So I'm very excited for the future of the MCU.
Oh man,
that's about all you need to know.
Okay.
But that's like something that could have been emailed to people. Like the entire movie is probably the equivalent to a good meeting that could have just been an email.
Oh, that's brutal.
It's brutal. I think this.
But hold on, if this is how you introduce like a Florence Pugh into the MCU and she's going to be important, I feel like that's worth it.
I liked all the characters in the movie. I liked
How's David Harbour as like the Red Rider?
I love David Harbour.
He's cool.
I think he's fun. He adds a lot to the movie. He's the punchline and the comedy part of it.
For anyone who doesn't know, that's the chief from Stranger Things, David Harbour.
Yeah.
I watched Hot Ones with him recently. He seems like a dope-ass guy.
Yeah. He is, and I like it because his humor doesn't remind me of any currently existing character.
Oh, good.
That's
good.
So, like, it's not cocky or anything. It's kind of like
Dad?
maybe if
Kill?
No, not even. It's like
Russian.
Yeah, it's like he's just stuck in the glory days of being a badass, but nobody believes him about his shit, but he can beat everybody up.
Seems like it could be Drax humor a little bit, but that's the closest I could think of.
No, not even.
Okay.
Like, because Drax is just stupid. Like, he's stupid, but American stupid.
This is
but
Russian stupid.
But he's Russian.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
But I enjoyed it. I think have very blatantly been worse Marvel movies. If you like Black Widow,
which I do, I
like you can see it. It's on Disney Plus. It's gonna be on DVD if that's your thing.
It does make me feel how bad, or I feel bad how badly she got cucked from like her contract on this.
That really sucks.
What happened?
Apparently, she got like cucked a bunch of money because they promised that the movies weren't going to be released.
It was what it was is she would get box office sales, but the streaming stuff doesn't count as box office sales. She doesn't get a cut of that, so she's not seeing any money from any streaming stuff.
Yeah, but also like
she's still a multi-millionaire.
Yeah, she's also Scarlett Johansson. Like
well, you know what?
I mean, if you write a contract and you work for it, like you don't want to
what
be
I was gonna say is like.
Mm-hmm.
You do your job. You deserve to get the money that you were told you were going to get paid. That's number one.
It's my money, and I need it now.
Yes, yeah.
All good.
But also, she is like a multi-millionaire, like bajillionaire.
Not a hill worth dying on, and I'm gonna make sure Tyler can't die here by moving the conversation along.
All I'm saying is she's not going hungry. Like
True,
that's
I
it.
suppose.
Like she obviously deserves to get paid, but
Willard,
also not gonna starve.
I just want to ask, like, in the year 2021 of our Lord, should Willard watch this movie?
Yeah,
I'm gonna get on my parents' Disney Plus account and watch it.
I enjoyed it more than the first half of WandaVision, and it's about similar in length.
Yeah, but you and I are different. Man, make sure to watch Loki at some point, Bradley. Find the time.
Right.
Important.
You know what? It might actually be on par with Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I like that.
Like that's what I would equate it to.
That also seems accurate based on like the street level kind of movies.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually like those plot lines tie into each other. I think at some point. So that's what it is.
Alrighty then. Okay, next up, let's actually I'll shift it a little bit. What is Hellstar Remina? Is this a Bradley?
Yes. So it's kind of part of my little Junji Ito corner here.
Okay.
Okay. I think I'll just talk about two of these manga that I read. I went through a whole bunch of manga that he's written. And he has a whole bunch of manga that are only like one chapter, and then even a bunch that are only like 5 to 6 chapters.
Yo, this thing looks sick.
So
I'll post it in midcast. Yeah.
I think I'll just start with doing like a high level overview of what these two particular manga are, and then I kind of want to take a second to talk about Lovecraftian horror in general, and then I'll go into like full spoilers on both of these two.
Yeah.
And full spoilers on a manga that's only one chapter, so
Is this the planet thing?
Yeah. So Hellstar Remina is about essentially astronomers discover a weird astronomical object that seems to be moving in irregular patterns, not like it's affected by gravity. And it seems to just move towards stars. And then when it gets to stars, they wink out of the sky, and then it starts moving to other stars. And they notice one day that it starts heading directly towards Earth. And so the star Remina, they basically named this irregular object Remina after the astronomer whose daughter discovered it. Like the astronomer discovered it. He's like, oh, I'm gonna name it after my daughter, who was like born the same day that like we would have been able to see this thing. So basically, once it starts moving towards the Earth, everybody on Earth gradually starts panicking a little bit more. Like, oh, it's it's heading towards us, like in our general direction. It's not coming to us, and they're like, okay, well, I mean, it's going to take a really long time to get here. And then it turns out it's not going to take a really long time to get here. And they're like, okay, well, we don't know why it's coming here. And everyone's like, no, it stuffs out stars. What are you talking about? And then it gets into just like full straight on panic. And I think it's a really cool, like existential horror. It's really cool.
Where did you read this? Because this seems like I should read. I've never read a Junji Ito, and this seems like the most interesting one.
I think I just Googled where I could read it, and like one of the first results was everything on Imgur. So.
Yeah, I found chapter 1 in Imgur, like right now.
Throw that on Kubari.moe. Me and Joe know. We've been down this road.
So, it's like 5 or 6 chapters, and I think it's really, really good. It's just some unique cosmic horror. Even among cosmic horror, it feels very unique. I think the only bad part about it is that of the 6 chapters, 2 of the chapters are pretty much just like every horrible thing that can ever happen to a human happens to this one particular person. Yeah. And right on the exact panel where I was like, okay, this manga is just torture porn, the torture porn stopped. So I was like, okay, it got exactly to the point where it would have overstayed its welcome.
Genius level pacing.
by
Mr. Junji Ito.
There was a small clip I saw of Junji Ito, and he was talking about like, yeah, I make horror movies, but I also make cat pictures. And like, there's a small scene where a character is going up to like point and like touch a cat, and just the length that it takes is like the perfect amount of like, I don't know what's about to happen here.
A master of suspense, truly.
And it's wild. He's like, that was kind of scary, wasn't it? I'm like, yeah, it was.
It's crazy how he just creates such horror, but he's such a teddy sweet bear in real life.
Yeah, he's like the sweetest dude.
I've seen memes that he's the opposite of Hideo Miyazaki, who writes the sweetest little stories, but is the crotchetiest old man.
Yeah.
Studio Ghibli.
So, Hellstar Remina, very good, very, it's very gruesome, even for Junji Ito manga. But man, it is just fascinating. And then the other very short one I read that I think was only 1 chapter is called The Hanging Balloons.
You told me about this. This is creepy as fuck.
Yeah. Essentially, one day people notice these balloons in the sky. And the balloons are shaped like giant versions of real people's heads. Like, for example, you'd look outside and there would be a giant Willer head balloon or a giant Joe head balloon. And all of these balloons have nooses hanging from them. And so they look and search for the person that has their face, and they try to kill this person. And they can talk, and they know things they shouldn't. And holy fuck, it is creepy.
That one is deeply disturbing to me.
Have you heard of the Enigma of Amagari Falls, Willer?
No.
Oh my god.
That one's fucked up too.
This is another Junji Ito one. This is the first one I read.
I know I've seen images like the snail woman and Umazaki and this is my hole, but I don't really know anything about the story.
What this one is about is like there's one day in Japan, like a cliffside like kind of drops, and it's revealed just to have like hundreds of thousands of human-shaped holes in it.
Ah, JoJo.
But
Oh yeah.
when you go up there, one of the holes starts calling to you, and you're compelled to like go into the hole.
Right. This is my hole. It's shaped like
Yeah.
me. I've heard it all
Yeah.
before.
And man, it's really short, and that final page turn is creepy. And then I read this in college, and I came home one day. I didn't park in the garage for some reason. I think either because, or like no, I was coming out of the garage, and I had to go back inside to get something, and I looked at the floor, and there was a crack in the floor that was shaped kind of like the thing at the end.
It was shaped kind of like me.
Yeah, and I was like, oh god, like it was literally the day after
Just
I read
lay
this.
down, Joe, and let the earth reclaim you.
But like that's a really short, like 10-page like story that's just suspenseful as all hell because you're like, don't go in there because
It's really amazing how creepy of a story he can create in one chapter.
and with a very simple premise too. Like
Yeah.
the idea of like there's just a hole shaped like you and you want to go in it, and then like
Maybe I'm gonna visit some of these stories, and we might hear about this next Roundabout cast.
why are we doing the Halloween block and
Yeah.
I know. I also own a lot of Junji Ito manga physically.
You have all of Uzumaki, don't you?
So, yes, I do. It's very good.
If I like Hellstar, I might ask for a little borrow sesh.
Yeah.
I do enjoy his work. It's just like I can only sustain like so much of it because I will actually like probably have crises.
And like, talk about Junji Ito. This is like one thing I wanted to tack on and talk about is like Lovecraftian horror because, and I kind of wrote these in notes in our Discord, but
Yes.
it was just like to organize my thoughts for for this. Lovecraftian horror among like genres in general has some of the highest potential for enjoyment for me, but very seldom does Lovecraftian horror actually work for me because nobody does it the way I like it. So pretty much the only two times that Lovecraftian horror works for me is Junji Ito and Bloodborne.
We got it.
And like there's a quote from Lovecraft himself that is basically what I consider the law for Lovecraftian horror. And the quote is, "The oldest and strongest emotion of mankind is fear, and the oldest and strongest fear is the fear of the unknown."
Yes.
And I think the unknown is like the really important thing in these kind of stories because Cthulhu is just, it's never fucking scary to me because there's this huge Cthulhu mythos and it's like, I don't know, we know Cthulhu's family tree and their real names and where they came from and how old they are and what all their abilities are.
You know,
And what you
in a
his
dating
favorite
sim where you get like the character page and like likes and dislikes and height and bust weight. That's where we're at with Cthulhu, right?
yeah.
The only time I have ever been scared of Cthulhu is when I read the actual original story that introduced him, and he only shows up for like one fucking page in that entire story, and you barely see any of his body, but you're still like, what the fuck? It's so scary. And so, like, that's one reason I think Bloodborne is really good. And this is a game that it came out years ago, but people still talk and discuss about it like very fervently online and come up with these theories. Like,
there's a very beautifully written book about like someone's interpretation of the lore.
yeah.
It's very cool.
And like the reason this game can be discussed and talked about so much is because I think of the unknown parts of it. Because the devs put in there enough puzzle pieces to give you 95% of the story, but there's always going to be that 5% that just rattles in people's head. Like, for example, why does the moon presence really do what it's doing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And because there's very different answers for that have very different implications, and that's just so cool. And Junji Ito is so good at horror, I think, also because of what we don't know about these things. Because, you know, the stuff in Uzumaki or even the hanging balloons, I feel like so much horror, like by the end, would have like, I don't know, the arc where they find out where they came from, like it was some lab or it was some curse put on the town or something, but you don't find that out in these. And that makes it so much scarier because it's like, for example, with a hurricane, like a natural disaster, right? There's kind of some solace in the fact that there's not a reason this is happening. It's just mindless. But like with the hanging balloons, people don't know if there's a reason or if they don't know if it's happening for no reason. Like they don't know. And you're like, why do these things want to kill us? Because you don't have to worry about that with a hurricane. It's just wind.
It's nature, yeah.
But these, it's like they're clearly sentient, so why the fuck are they doing what they're doing?
Yeah, that is genuinely like horrifying.
And man, just like in Bloodborne, they tease just like there might be one panel that reveals this trait of the bad guy in the Junji Ito story, or one panel that implies this is their motivation but doesn't confirm it. And like Bloodborne, I feel like it just gives you like 90% of the puzzle pieces and leaves that last little bit out. And that last little bit is what's scary.
It helps that the designs are so off. Like, you look at Ebrietas and, like, the inside of Ebrietas' face looks like the cosmos. And you're like, what? And you're looking at it, like, it's the same fear that I get when I look at Bradley's AI-generated bullshit. So I'm like, ugh.
And it's, I remember once Junji Ito was talking about his art style because people are like, among manga, you seem to go for like a much more realistic or grounded style, as far as like his actual humans.
Yeah.
And he says that he's found that people get a lot more scared whenever the art style is more realistic because, I don't know, it's more grounded. Like you could actually see that being your body.
Yeah.
Which when he does a lot of body horror, that's probably really important.
But he still uses like the strengths of, because I've seen videos on this at least, like the strengths of the medium of manga with like the horrifying page turn and the pacing of panels and all that stuff that I like to nerd out about.
But
Cool.
yeah, Hellstar Remina I think is an amazing piece of cosmic horror. It's so good. And man, it just leaves those same questions about like, is this planet really sentient or is it not? And like, there's wiggle room between like, oh, is it coming to the Earth because it actually cares about hurting us, or is it just doing what it does? I don't know. But yeah, it's amazing.
I think I'm gonna check out that one as like as my
Fucking
beginner one.
rad. It's very, very fucked up.
All right, boys, 2 more topics left. Time for the most confusing conversation of Tyler and Bradley's life as me and Joe.
Objection!
Man, so new Phoenix Wright game came out, and me and Joe have been working through it. These motherfuckers are long. For $40, you are getting 80 hours of just fantastic storytelling and bullshit. Weirdly enough, Joe, you weren't gonna pick this up, but I think I have a theory that what incited you to pick it up is actually me talking about One Piece Wano and how like I was talking about Japan opening the border, and you're like, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah,
I knew it.
I was like, huh? That does sound interesting. And then like weirdly, and not weirdly enough, because Google listens to us every waking moment. Google started throwing me like recommendations on YouTube for the Phoenix Wright anime, weirdly enough. And so in tandem, I listened to the first season, the dub version on the site, because the anime is not great. It's very watered down. It made me realize something about Phoenix Wright and Ace Attorney is that the games are very intentional with their pauses and their breaks to make suspension.
Yes, and that does not work in the anime.
Yeah.
The games are so perfectly paced, especially the more recent ones where it's like they really know what they're doing with a fucking text box and also the speed at which text goes in a text box.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
But anyways, so
we're talking about the Great Ace Attorney, which
collection. Okay,
so let me tell you what this game means in the context of the franchise. So, I believe the order that this goes is that this was the first 3D Phoenix Wright, not counting Phoenix Wright versus Titan. So
Yes.
I think it goes, this came out, and then in 2013, Dual Destinies came out, which is the 5th mainline game. And then...
Professor Layton and Phoenix Wright came out.
No, that's flipped. I think it went Dual Destinies, then this game, then Apollo Justice, which is the most recent... No, not Apollo Justice, sorry. Spirit of Justice, which is the 6th game, and what I believed was the latest game in the franchise. But then I found out that after Spirit of Justice came out, the 2nd game in the collection. So this is a collection of 2 games that's nestled in between... Like, they sandwiched the release of the last mainline game we got in the West. These never came out in the West. And I had no idea that...
I didn't even know there was a second Great Ace Attorney. I thought there was one.
Until
Collection.
right now, or until the collection? Yeah,
until the collection.
Because these games, I never thought we would get them, but now we did get them. And it's very interesting because they're a very strict duology, and we're already seeing, like, me and Joe are currently on case 5 of the first game. So you don't get the full review here.
So first, like, correction. So the first 3D Ace Attorney game was Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright.
Yeah.
And then it was Dual Destinies. Yeah, and then it was Dual Destinies.
There's Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
it's the 2 games combined together. It's
That's
actually
awesome.
really fun. But
I never heard of that.
And then Dual Destinies comes out, and then it's Great Ace Attorney, and then it's Spirit of Justice.
Oh no.
It's Great Ace Attorney 2.
Oof.
What?
Yes. Okay. My internet died for a second. I think we got the gist of your ordering, Joe. So,
yeah, but regardless, the second game in this series, in this collection, is the most recent Ace Attorney game.
Came out in 2017, so
yeah.
Any day now, Capcom? Question mark. This game sold so poorly. Like, it came out the same week as Neo, and both of those games sold so poorly. I'm like, I don't know what to expect of either of these franchises. But from what I hear,
it was only $40.
Yeah, this is kind of nutty. From what I hear, the second game in this series, in this duology, is supposed to be like one of the best in the entire franchise. As for this first one, it's very interesting. It is definitely the slowest pace. Like, it's a slow burn, but one that's really captivating because the dialogue is so toothy and it's so grounded. I don't know if you feel the same.
I mentioned this to Willard, but every case we've played so far, you feel dirty, like, because, and like, for a number of reasons, we're like, what's happening is kind of shitty, what people are doing, but also, like,
the crimes themselves make you very upset once you realize the truth.
And then you kind of also realize that there are multiple times in the game where you kind of feel like you've lost even though you've won.
Yeah. Which, like, they're really playing with the formula of an Ace Attorney game in this one. And it's definitely the most cohesive story too so far. Where like it's really like I am so hyped for what's going. I just got to the trial part of the last case, and like as you're doing that investigation, Joe, I don't know if you were picking up on it. They're giving you so much information, and you're like, how is this gonna tie into the mystery? Have you noticed that Iris is like giving Gregson tea all the time, and you see like a little thing of the tea? It's like, is that gonna be relevant? Like, there's just so much information going on, and so much stuff is tying together where it's like, I don't know how this story is going to unfold. Which is very exciting.
The one complaint I have about the game is that I feel like the actual story of the game that feels really meaty doesn't happen until case 3. I feel like case 1 and 2 are very character focused about Ryunosuke, because Ryunosuke is thrust into the position of a lawyer.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to go through that character arc for him. But there's a moment in case 4 that to me kind of made it all worth it. It's the moment when he has the Garibs on trial, on the witness stand, and he goes like, this feels earned. This feels right.
Oh, that was such a good moment. But it only worked because it's been such a slow burn. It's very interesting that way.
The other complaint I have is that I think Ryunosuke's objections are really weak.
The voice acting. I think
think
Van Zeek's is badass though.
Yeah.
I like Van Zeek's objection line. This is such a weird series to talk about because you can't understand why we enjoy this series unless you play it. And even then, you can't understand it until you play the 4th case of the first game. So you really need to invest into like understanding why Ace Attorney is a good franchise.
Yeah.
And I'm of the opinion, and this is actually a hot take, that the games have gotten better over time.
I'm with Willer. Like,
I
love the first 3 games, but like,
there's a lot of like inconsistent rules. Like the thing is, like, this game is based off the Japanese court system, and they're all a critique on that court system. But also sometimes it doesn't adhere to its internal logic, and also the first game opens with like a very weak second case where like Red White is such a bad villain. That's a topic for another day.
It has the worst like resolution to a case ever. When I got to that case, I was like, "What the?"
It was cool because it's quirky, but like you don't understand that there's a deep story in Phoenix Wright till that 4th case, and then it just gets better and better.
Yeah,
and, like this game's story is quite good and it's very earned. I will say, so the thing with the Phoenix Wright games, they're written by 2 main people. You got Shu Takumi, who wrote 1 through 4. And then Phoenix Wright versus Layton, and then these 2 games. So he started the series, took a break, but then wrote the side series that we're currently playing. We haven't mentioned, but this one takes place in early 1900s, so different technology, no fingerprint evidence, which lets them do different kinds of crimes and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then Yamazaki worked on 5, 6, and the 2 Edgeworth investigation games. I actually think Yamazaki does cooler mysteries, but I think Shu Takumi writes more
overall
grounded, tight stories. So they both got their strengths. But the one weakness I have is 2 actually for this first game is that until case 4, the mysteries are pretty straightforward. The game kind of leads you linearly, and like some of the way that the evidence is presented is just like, oh, I forgot this detail, or I was told to lie. Kind of like the kind of things that you ran into in the trilogy, in the original.
That being said, 3's ending
was such a gut punch.
That was
So every Phoenix Wright case ends with you cornering the bad guy, and then they have a over-the-top anime breakdown that is so entertaining. Like there's a dude who's like riding around on a scooter and he's losing control and there's stars flying everywhere.
There's Busta Rhymes who has like a whole ship like crash in the courtroom.
Busta Rhymes is the best.
The case is actually one of the best cases.
And the twist in that case is insanity. But so like that some of the like enjoyment you derive is finally working through this puzzle and then getting to see the breakdown of the true culprit. In case 3 of this game, you get to the breakdown and it makes you feel so shitty about yourself because it's not even like it's not even despair that they feel, they're laughing and you just feel really bad about everything. And then case 4 actually was where like, oh, this was actually pretty interesting mystery, even though it had a lot of like that was convenient moments. But that's kind of Ace Attorney.
But also like, so case 4 and case 2 in these are actually kind of sad.
Yeah.
Like if you're just like,
all
of them were just.
Are you getting the distinct feeling that this 5th case is a suicide? I would actually be a little upset.
No. I'm not getting that feeling right now. But I just started part 3 of that investigation.
Okay, but that character is always talking about committing suicide, so I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, the bullet hole goes to the chest.
Yeah,
so
fair.
Okay, so in case 4, there's a part where like you're talking to the couple and the guy finally wakes up and he pulls out a gun. I was just like, why the fuck do you have a gun?
I never got him pulling out a gun.
Oh, it might have been a thing that I had. It might have been a statement you had to press because I pressed it. He's like. I'm like, yeah, I got this. He just pulls out a gun in the middle of court. And I was like, what?
Those fucking bobbies, man.
Yeah. It's like, and both of these characters look like absolute children. Like...
To close it off, we will talk about this again, but only after we beat the second game. This is definitely going to be a story in 2 parts, but I'm having a bunch of fun.
Yeah.
This is a great game. It's still like, it's probably high middle right now among all the games for me, which is very high praise either way. I will say, like, Ryunosuke is better than Phoenix and maybe better than Edgeworth when he's a protagonist. I like Edgeworth more as the rival. He's up there with Apollo for me. I don't know how you never finished Spirit of Justice, so you haven't gotten to the Apollo stuff that I got.
Yeah.
Because man, Apollo's story in that game is nuts. But I will say Susato is easily the best assistant.
Shadow is so good.
She's so cute and so spunky, and like Maya's kind of useless. I like Maya more when she's grown up in the future games. I was a fan of Trucy, but like Susato is definitely better.
And so another thing we haven't talked about these games is that they are visual novel games, but like they do a really good job in each iteration of adding a mechanic to the game that feels kind of gimmicky, but also very good.
This has two. This one has two. It has Wandering Investigations, where you and Herlock Sholmes, which we haven't talked about, one of the best characters I've seen in many years. Herlock is brilliant. But also, I can't tell if he's a fucking idiot or if he's genius. He's straddling this line. You dance around the room and you fix his deduction because he's very good at like creating a very plausible crime if you ignore all common sense. He will look at a piece of evidence and then construct this very dramatized Sherlock Holmes-esque crime that goes with a piece of evidence. You're like, but Mr. Sholmes, you didn't consider this obvious thing, so you dance around with him and iron out his logic. Which is
you bought a shovel so you can dig underneath the pawnbrokery to go rob the bank of the money that no one knows about that's there.
The snake drank the milk, which is how you subdued it. And Susano's like, Mr. Sholmes, snakes don't drink milk. But the other one I like is this one has a jury. So usually it's just you and a judge. But this game actually takes place not in Japanese court or American Japanese court, which is one side note.
Don't worry about it.
American Japanese court.
So the Phoenix Wright games is the only instance in which the localized game, as in the English version of the game, exists in a different parallel universe than the Japanese version.
Whoa!
Because of translation decisions they made back in 2004, the game now has to take place in America, even though in Japan it's taking place in Japan.
Oh
and it's using Japanese court system. So we've entered this world where like people are drinking strawberry juice instead of wine, and because it's localized weird, and they're in America, in California, but it's really Japanese. It's
the good news is like they've eased off on like the censoring kind of bits of things a little bit more in like the later games. But like you go to like Apollo Justice, and Phoenix Wright is in a bar drinking grape juice and it's like, playing poker.
Phoenix Wright's an alcoholic, and we're just not going to talk about it. We're just going to say he's drinking grape juice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that aside, this place takes place in British court because you're a foreign exchange student from Japan studying British law. And the racism in this game is all over the place. Van Zeke just said some shit to me where even Ryunosuke is like, oh my god, I can't believe you said that to me. But this game has a jury where you have 6 members of a jury that you have to convince. And there's a fun little game where, like, if they all vote guilty, you can flip their verdict if you pit their statements against each other, which is a really fun little mini game that they actually do a lot of cool things with. I will say it's predictable because it's like, all right, you did the first cross-examination, time for the summation. It happened every time.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a bummer that they don't vary up when it happens in the trial, but aside from that, very cool mechanic.
I just like it because it like it's another one. This is also a mechanic that was kind of used in Professor Layton, where it was like you have multiple witnesses at the same time, and then you can like use your statements against each other.
The thing is, it's very blatant when you have to do it here, so it's not a very valued add. What is a valued add is just some of the ways that you investigate the evidence this time is cooler than the other games.
So usually what happens in Phoenix Wright is like you have an investigation day and you have a court day and investigation day kind of deal. And they've varied that up a lot. One of the cases is like you have the investigation and the court at the same time because it takes place in a trolley.
Yeah.
So you have
wheel the trolley in, so you bring the murder scene into the court and you're doing both at the same time, which is really cool.
Yeah. But like overall, we're really happy with it. I think.
Yes.
Will and I have been just talking about it whenever we can. I highly recommend the game. It was only $40. Like I wasn't going to get this game because I was like, I don't have any money. I got to wait for my first paycheck. And then Willard mentioned it and talked about it. I was like, you know what, I'm going to get it. It was $40. I was like, oh, it's 100% worth
Bonus note, you don't have to play any of the previous games to play this
one.
So
also bonus note.
You can jump in right here. I guess like how's Van Zeeks for you as a prosecutor? I still think he's not quite as good as Blackwell and Edgeworth.
I feel like he's going to be more relevant in the second game.
See, but usually they have a completely different prosecutor in other games.
I think I read somewhere when they made the first game, they made it with the intention of making the second game.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So
that'd be cool. That gives him a lot of time. His gimmick. So this prosecutor's gimmick in this game, and I'll close with this, is anytime you go to trial with him, whether or not he indicts you or not, you mysteriously will die within a month. So he's called the Reaper of the Bailey. And, like, it plays it very interestingly near the middle of the game where, like, you get to see that firsthand. Mm-hmm. And I'm very keen to see why the fuck everyone's dying. Is he killing them? I think he's brothers with Strongheart, and Strongheart is the main villain of the second game. That's my guess.
That's very obvious.
Okay, because he goes like this, and birds fly behind him, and you're like, oh, you're the main villain.
Yeah. He also has fucking Castlevania gears in his lair.
He's in Dracula's castle. All right. That's enough for his attorney. Joe, we should do like a spoiler talk, self-contained thing for this when we finish the second one, and we can go over spoilers and that, and it'll just be you and me.
There was something that I meant to mention about Van Zyx. Oh, he also looks like a vampire, which I love. But he has like a wine ball and everything.
I like his. Please excuse my Wellington boots. I hope they didn't discourage you or whatever. And when he's throwing the wine, I should share some of the animations in this game with Bradley and Tyler, because like no matter what the animations in these games are so fucking charming.
I do like good animations.
They really use the 3D to the max potential. So I've been clipping some of them. Maybe I'll find a way to post them at some point. All right, last topic. Everyone join in. Tyler, did you watch The Suicide Squad?
I did.
Why don't you open up? Because you've been a quiet boy. You look sad. What's wrong, buddy?
Oh no, I have Kitty.
Too many lawyers for you?
He's thinking about Polka Dot Man.
I'm thinking about Kitty.
What did you think? Did you first of all, show of hands, who watched the original Suicide Squad? Hand. I think Bradley's the only one who didn't.
I didn't watch the original Suicide Squad.
Oh no, you did.
Yeah, I watched like a YouTube hot list, like of like the majority of the movie that makes up like here's Suicide Squad in 40 minutes. So I'm like, okay.
I thought that movie was bad, but I didn't think it was awful until I watched Cosmonaut Marcus' video on it recently. I was like, man, no, this is rough.
Okay. Like, I know a movie's bad when I feel like I'm having an aneurysm. That movie started and I felt like I was having a stroke.
The editing in that movie is so horrendous.
It does the number one thing I hate, which is the movie starts over. The movie starts over 3 times.
Oh, man.
And it sucks.
Look, I'm going to say that Suicide Squad, the new one.
Uh-huh.
They did a smart thing for DC movies. They're learning that the less writing they put into the movie, the higher the ratings it gets. So they put all these like musical segues in it that are like 2 to 5 minutes at a time of just music. They're like, here's an AC/DC song. And then nobody talks.
That only happens like once with Harley Quinn.
It happens like 5 times.
Name another.
Like the very first like sequence, like as soon as they get on that beach, they're like, here's 2.5 minutes of music. Here's a bus ride through the city that's 3 minutes long with music.
The one where they're talking the whole time about their backstories?
No, before they get to the backstories, they sit on the bus for like 3 minutes. They're like, here's music. Just of them on the bus.
Mind you, I've watched this movie 1.5 times. So I watched it with Bradley. Shout outs. It's hard to get Bradley to come out of a movie. The second time is someone was halfway through watching it and I joined them partway through. That does not happen. I don't recall a scene in a bus where there's no talking for 3 minutes.
Just go back and count how many musical segues are in that movie.
But here's the thing. The first movie did that and it was awful. And it did.
Also, it's the first racist soundtrack according to Cosmonaut Marcus. So.
Wait, what?
In the first movie. Okay, you're saying there's not. I think you're saying there's not a lot of writing in a roundabout way. I think there's actually a very amount of deliberate writing in this movie that really pays off near the end.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Bradley hasn't seen it, right?
No, I've seen it.
We've all seen it.
Can I spoil?
I just said
Can I say a spoiler about the ending?
Yes.
We're spoilers.
We're spoiling.
Why did nobody? You know why? Peacemaker made a really good twist villain
Why?
Why?
because nobody could see it coming.
Oh, okay.
You know why he actually made a good twist villain? Because it completely made sense as soon as it happened. I was like, of course.
Yeah.
For peace. Duh.
Yeah.
I forgot who you are. I can open there. I thought John Cena is a good
Oh my
actor,
God.
I guess. He was so
He
good.
was
at
great.
this movie.
He was like
Dude.
the second best character in that whole movie. Like,
This was his best role since, dare I say, Fred the movie.
This is his best role since, dare I say, wrestling.
Yeah. He's
You
a
didn't,
heel.
you didn't
He's
like
a
the
face
movie
wrestling.
where he has the kids on the bus? That might be Dave Bautista.
That is super Batista, dude. Batista, good actor too, by the way.
Oh yeah, he's great.
Ironically,
Cockblockers,
The
though.
Rock is the worst actor among these big wrestling actors.
Yeah, you know what?
He was in Jungle Cruise. He was fun in that. I will say
Because
that.
he's
Wait,
always
wait.
the same character.
Yeah.
You don't like this?
The Rock was on set like, what is it? Were you Jumanji?
Yo, The Rock was great in the rundown though.
The moment where John Cena kills Rick Flag, which they made me care about Rick Flag, so
Yeah.
that's a plus. The moment he kills him and you immediately see in his face the mistakes, like he realizing it's a mistake, and that line like "Peacemaker," what a joke! I'm like, ooh, this is good
Yeah.
storytelling.
Mhm.
But then also when he's about to shoot Ratcatcher, and she's asking like, "Why do you have to shoot me?" and he has to like mentally gymnastic his way for like 7 seconds,
And you
before
can
he's
see
like,
on his face.
before
That's
he's
the
like,
great part
"'Cause
about
I'm
it.
thorough." I'm like, oh, that is really good acting, John Cena.
Yeah. I think also what makes this movie great is like it's the pacing, number one. Like that opening scene happened and I'm just like, what the fuck is going on?
I thought it was funny, but I also knew that there was a lot of characters and some of them would die, so I guess I didn't
Yeah.
get the shock value that was supposed to be there because they kind of advertised that. So I guess if you go in missing the advertisements, that'd be a surprise.
I wasn't expecting Captain Boomerang to die.
Captain Boomerang dying is actually kind of a twist.
Yeah.
That's kind of a bummer because he was one of the better parts of the original movie, but
Mm-hmm.
I was really excited for all those characters at the beginning. And I guess that's what the joke is you shouldn't be.
yeah. I like Pete Davidson, which is a hot take, I guess. So I like.
He's the thinker, right?
No,
The guy with the...
No, that's
Oh,
Peter
the
Capaldi. Pete
That is
Davidson's
Peter
Pete
Capaldi.
Davidson. What do you mean?
I like Pete Davidson.
He gets his face blown off.
I like Peter Capaldi too. While we're at it, but I will say the movie didn't quite get me until like the scene in the village where they're killing the villagers, the resistant army, and then you only find out at the end of the scene. It's like
I kind of knew immediately like what was going to be happening there. I was like, oh, I can see where this is going.
What set me off midway through was like that woman who was doing laundry. I was like, these are really peaceful terrorists. Oh no. But really, what really got me going, and I think Bradley said something similar, was the scene in the bar where they're finally like bonding and having a good time.
Oh, when they're taking shots together.
Oh, you mean that other musical segue where they are just like, here's a segue of nobody
it has a
interacting with each
purpose.
other in music.
Like,
Motherfucker, it's like 20 seconds of music at most. There's dialogue that whole scene. They're just partying.
yeah. And I think that's a big thing compared to the original Suicide Squad. Is like there are actual characters in here, and not just a bunch of like props that are just moving around with sticks. Like no one in Suicide Squad, David Ayer, like has any degree of like depth to them. Meanwhile, in
Deadshot,
this one-
kind of.
No.
Yeah, no, alright.
Meanwhile, in this one, everyone feels like they have a motivation, and you get an idea of like where they are coming from. Like Peacemaker, he's a psychopath that wants peace. Idris Elba feels like guilty and ashamed about like the role model he is for his daughter.
Yeah.
Ratcatcher like has this like lost family syndrome. King Shark has no family is actually the
No
most
friends.
depressing character in that movie.
I like the quiet scene in which like it's in the middle of like the climax sort of, and King Shark is playing with those fish creatures. He's like, "You dumb friends."
Yeah.
I found out that was Sylvester Stallone after the movie.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's where he was.
Yeah.
I think they just got better actors, to be honest.
No, the script was better. Like
The script.
I think they also got better actors.
Idris Elba's also a great actor.
It just you can tell Deadshot was originally in this script and they wrote him out for the better because Bloodsport is now immediately cooler in my mind than Deadshot ever could be.
His mask
was
baller.
So
dude, his mask was so like Vanitas or some shit.
Yeah, he looks like Vanitas.
I thought it looked like an H.R. Geiger like alien mask to me.
I liked the fourth wall breaking joke about that though because they were like Bloodsport, and people are gonna be like, oh, it's just the same thing as Deadshot, but then Peacemaker shows up, and they're like, they say the same thing, so they just kind of like negate the joke in their own way.
Actually, with that scene, one confusion / complaint I had was I wasn't sure how everyone ended up in this prison. Because
it's Black Rock Prison.
Who gives a fuck?
No, that is important because I think yes, it is because Ratcatcher is always a good person in this movie and is the best character. Consequently, because she's the emotional heart for me. She's so sweet.
Big crimes.
She didn't like she robbed a bank and got sent to prison, right? Okay, but then how did Peacemaker get in here? Because he's a patriot. So you have to imagine that there's a story where like,
he murders people. He's thorough.
Yes,
for peace. He literally said, "I will murder. I don't care how many women and children I have to murder."
Yes.
And there was a whole.
I wasn't sure if he was working for the government before, if he was a vigilante who took peace into his own hand and took it. I would have liked to hear an explanation. And Bloodsport is a mercenary, so you can see how he got caught. But then Polka Dot Man, like I don't understand how Polka Dot Man got in prison because he's also not a bad guy. He can
be honest. I'm pretty sure he's asked to get locked up.
He could have, or he could have just. As soon as his mom went away, just started going on killing sprees, seeing everybody as his mom. Like, lots of.
I would get the vibe that one day he just exploded in dots because he couldn't contain it and killed people by accident or something.
Yeah,
but
the other thing.
You ever seen the comic book image of Polka Dot Man?
No, please.
This shit's stupid as hell.
So I think another thing that's not explored here, and another character that was actually used fantastically was Amanda Waller.
Oh, sidebar: Viola Davis and Margot Robbie were born for these two roles.
Yeah, Margot Robbie's like. So I think a big thing about this that I feel like a lot of maybe hardcore Suicide Squad fans be like,
"Who?
Harley Quinn is not a big portion of this movie, but like."
She was a good portion.
I think she was used the exact amount.
This is the first time she's ever been a cool character to me ever.
Also, Margot Robbie has proved she can be in 3 different DC cinematic universes, and it all makes sense. And she can nail every single. She's like, I'm good at all 3 of these. Just whatever.
I will be good in my role. She knows the assignment. Everyone else can fuck off.
I also like that her outfit design is not fucking stupid.
Yeah, I mean she just braids her hair and she's got the.
I will say, I usually don't like Harley Quinn, but I really liked her in this. And I was telling Willer like, Margot Robbie and Harley Quinn is kind of like Hugh Jackman and Wolverine for me. I'm like, Hugh Jackman is just Wolverine.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like,
she's the toxic person's idol.
Yeah.
I feel like that's coming from some places. I think Joe, you were saying something wasn't explored, Joe, or like you were glad something you were saying something about Amanda Waller.
Oh, okay, yeah. So Amanda Waller, like in the comics, is like she is like the representation of the law or the government doing whatever it has to do for whatever is best for the government, basically.
Yes.
Like, and she will go to extreme moralistic lengths to do whatever needs to get done.
Yeah.
And I think in this movie, like in Suicide Squad, she kind of felt like a cartoon character, like just like stupid. In this movie, she felt and like she felt like an actual threat, and it felt like kind of menacing. Are you dying? Something you want to add,
dude? Joe, I feel like the pursue option in Phoenix Wright, where you see someone acting on the side, and you're like, hold it, Tyler. Is there something you want to add?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Our midcast chat, Bradley Cups. I forgot Polka Dot Man was a character in the movie. And Willer said Polka Dot Man, and legit he thought he meant a certain race of people, and I was a beat to be like, yo, what the fuck?
Bradley, he died a fucking hero, you monster.
I know, but when you said Polka Dot Man, my instinct was like, oh my god, Willard, I can't believe you said that.
Anyways,
Waller's
I think
great.
you'll-
I think what made it good was the boardroom people with her, or like the squad she had, the more normal people.
yeah. This movie also has 1,000 Chekhov guns, and they all go off.
The big, like, some of the biggest are the spear, of course, is like the major one. But
Oh my god.
the bullet through the bullet. Okay, we were
Yeah.
sitting in the theater, and first of all, this is the
Oh,
only
man.
superhero movie where the third act is the best act. That never happens in a superhero movie. The third act is always the worst one usually. There's Infinity War and Endgame. I'll give it to them.
Yeah.
I love the third act in this movie because it's also unique. There's no big beam in the sky. It is a creepy lab. You got the tone in the lab was actually horrific. They're showing you some awful things. You're like, oh, this is making me feel really bad. And then you got the building nonsense as the Tower of Justice from One Piece falls apart. Shout outs to Bradley and Joe for that comparison.
I know.
I was like, as I kept watching this movie, I was like, this seems more and more like One Piece.
I know. I was like, this is the biggest One Piece reference ever.
And then we gotta wrap this up soon because we're getting kicked out. But as Elba is falling and he lands and he pulls out the gun and they shoot the bullets, that is the exact moment where the movie went from good to a movie I really like. And the more I think about this movie, the more I like it because that was a Kamehameha beam clash in a DC movie done through bullets, and it was a Chekhov's gun about the smaller.
You know what? The other thing that was good is that there's a scene at the beginning of the movie where Amanda Waller is playing putt-putt in her office, and then her staff gets the putter and knocks her out with it later.
Yes, that's true.
And it's just like it's small details that
James Gunn is just so
Man,
good.
what a guy.
It's like he wrote characters.
Also, yeah,
so
it's
crazy.
like he wrote characters. Also, we haven't mentioned Starro yet.
Yeah.
I would like to mention Starro because he's actually a very good villain, surprisingly.
Yeah, and I thought at the beginning of the movie, like, Starro's whole thing is he's the mind control thing. Fun fact about Starro, he's the first ever villain the Justice League fought.
Yes.
Damn.
So that's
got
kind of a
history.
big, like, DC history thing.
Second
Old
fun
school.
thing about Starro, he gets reborn as Jarro, who is Batman's favorite Robin. He's not joking. He specifies that he's not even lying when he says that. So that's fucked up.
Damn.
And Starro's great because you have this very tragic monster, and it kind of reminds me of a character from One Piece again. Of that Bradley is going to be introduced to soon. Where it's like he's just a monster. It's just a monster, and there's nothing they can do but like put it down.
What I liked about Starro is after you've been brutalized and experimented on for 30 years and you get out, I'm gonna fuck up this town and this entire planet. Fuck him. And his final line of "I was happy out floating in the star, like looking out into the stars." I was actually taken aback.
Happy. Yeah, I was just happy watching the stars. I'm like, oh, damn!
What an incredibly profound line from what should have been a dumb villain.
A stupid ass starfish.
Like James Gunn, a problem with James Gunn movies is that the humor is always hit and miss. I think we can all agree that like not every joke lands. A lot of jokes do. But so I thought he would make a joke out of Starro, but Starro is actually horrifying in this movie. Like what a horrible fate.
Fucking armpits, man.
If they did not fight Starro, that entire country was going to die horrible death. So shout outs to them.
Shout outs.
Also, love the title drops. Starro versus the Suicide Squad got me hyped as fuck.
Someone explained that to me as like comic book chapter headers, and I liked it more once I thought about it that way.
They're pieces of they're cover pages of the One Piece art.
Yeah. The rat catcher scene with her dad, Taika Waititi, and everything, but like that scene almost got me going. I was like, what a beautiful theme that like even the most insignificant villain or creature can band together to take out the greater foe. I was like, that's a very beautiful way, very James Gunny to wrap up the movie.
Yeah. Anyways,
Wonderful.
The Suicide Squad, 100% recommend. We don't do a movie tier list, but it'd probably be a hard fight to the top of this year.
This is one of my favorite hero movies. Definitely
I
the
think
best
so,
DC
too.
one. Up there with the god that is Aquaman, the film. You know.
I might go see it again in theaters because fuck it, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was fun.
It's still on HBO.
I know, but I like going to the movies.
Yeah, man.
Okay, you go get COVID round 2.
Yeah, I'd put this up there with like the better MCU films. Like they really made
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, honestly,
And-
it's really good.
And it made sense because my 2 favorite MCU films are made by the same guy as the guy who made this
Hey.
film. So, go figure.
I think
Y'all,
that's it,
we're
gang.
about to lose our call, but we started a tradition last time of having a closing discussion question that Bradley is going to do this week.
Oh shit! Really?
So he's going to think about it while we set up the call for 5 minutes of bonus podcasting.
Okay. And pause.
Bradley, what is the final discussion topic for today?
Well, earlier today, I was sitting here thinking like, who wins in a fight between the Powerpuff Girls and like modern Superman?
Let's do it. Oh, modern Superman?
Or I mean, like the new 52 Superman, where it's like he's definitely a step down from what came before, like power level wise.
What if we do movie Superman? I think
I mean,
that's...
I'll do movie Superman.
What are we thinking?
Because, like, you got to think about it like this, right?
No.
The Powerpuff Girls were on the moon. They heard someone in Townsville scream for help, like, because they were about to die. And they flew down, like, I think within seconds.
That requires light speed travel, according to Death Battle.
They're pretty fucking fast, but, I mean, movie Superman's also fast. I don't know if he's that fast, though.
No, but he like flies and makes sonic booms, but he's not flying to Earth in a second.
Now, here's the thing.
There's 3 of them.
I think the Powerpuff Girls are faster and maybe stronger, but I think Superman's a lot more durable.
I think even movie Superman's stronger. What's like the strongest strength feat of a Powerpuff Girl?
I mean, they like throw mountains and shit, but
Yeah.
Are they throwing mountains on God?
yeah,
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I think they broke the moon in half once.
they
Like,
do all kinds of
Bubbles
shit.
can make you like have your brain explode with their psychic scream.
Also worth noting, they can handle like lava with their bare hands and
Yeah.
shit.
They also
Also
don't have
worth noting,
fingers.
they don't have fingers. They don't have real.
Oh
hands.
yeah. Yeah, that'll hurt him. That'll hurt him in the simulation.
I think Bradley makes a good point where Superman's too durable though. The Powerpuff Girls can be hurt by Mojo Jojo and like the Gangrene gang, so they have low durability.
I
high
think they have
strength.
lower endurance.
Superman can get hurt by shiny rock.
Okay, and Blossom is an intelligent lass. Can they find kryptonite? Is this
See, you have to remember, each of the Powerpuff Girls has their own strength. Because like Blossom has the frost breath,
Bubbles and
Buttercup
Screech.
has like sound waves, and Bubbles
Oh,
can
that's
speak
Buttercup.
Spanish.
Yeah.
Could, like, here's the real question. Could Superman beat Buttercup in a 1v1?
Yeah, he could.
Yeah,
In a 1v1 he
he
could.
Here's the thing: the
But
Powerpuff
you had to
Girls-
hesitate. So
So-
1v3.
Tyler, I like your
Here's-
logic
here's
here.
the-
I just can't see them hurting him. But you know what? If General Zod lasers can hurt him, and I think
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So like the other thing about the Powerpuff Girls though is that they are invulnerable, but they are like
I think
it's
they
a
get
weird
tuckered
vulner-
out.
they get tuckered out really
Yeah.
quickly.
That is
That's
true.
the thing. So like all that Superman has to do is he doesn't have to fight all 3 of them at the same time. He just needs to, like basically like isolate one and he can beat them really quickly and then move on to the rest.
But they're never
I
gonna
feel.
let them. They're a team. They're a very strong team who fights together.
I think though Superman can punch through the earth with one of them. That's how I
What do you
feel.
mean, like?
Now here's the thing: you got to remember, Superman is a goody two shoes, but the Powerpuff Girls will like rip your tail off, shove it through the roof of your mouth,
They
and then spit in your eyeball.
They constantly punch people's teeth out, and like
Yeah.
they punch Mojo Jojo's brain out of his helmet.
Yeah,
and it's-
like
they're
So-
fucking brutal.
they're brutal.
So according to Quora, one Powerpuff Girl is pretty much one Kryptonian.
What the fuck?
But Superman is more powerful and experienced than a single Kryptonian.
That is
So,
true. Superman's
like,
older.
So,
He's
like, the
very
thought
smart.
is, you know, if Superman has morals,
Movie
So go
Superman. Movie Superman's a dumbass.
so
Oh.
if Superman has morals, then Quora thinks that 3 Powerpuff Girls can overpower him.
Gentlemen, it's vote time. I vote.
But if
Powerpuff Girls.
Superman is bloodlusted, he can probably stomp them.
I'm gonna go. I'm
Man.
gonna go. Most scenarios, Powerpuff Girls over movie
I think-
Superman.
I think in character Powerpuff Girls, because I think it's hard for Clark to fight girls in kindergarten, but also I think Bloodlusted even Powerpuff Girls.
Bloodlusted Bubbles is a world.
Like the one episode where she actually does get bloodlusted, it's kind of creepy how
Also,
effective she
It
is.
makes it
Weirdly
clear
enough-
she's the strongest in that one, right? When she's
Oh, yeah,
angry,
absolutely.
She's like by far the strongest.
Also, it's been
Don't-
canonically known that Bubbles actually has the highest IQ out of the 3 of them.
What?
Yeah.
Poor girl. Bubbles played by Margot Robbie.
Don't forget also that, like, Superman's main thing other than flying and strength is, like, I-beams.
Which
Ooh.
bosses
That's,
can do.
Like, that is the 3 base powers of these characters is
Oh.
flying, super strength, and I-beams.
so they can match him and speak Spanish. And he's
Yeah, and speak Spanish.
I'm pretty sure Superman can speak Spanish.
Yeah, he could probably. If
not
he wanted
movie
to.
Superman. He's a Kansas
true.
hick. He's a Kansas hick.
Oh yeah, he hates them.
Yep.
Movie Superman in the opening scene of Man of Steel gets mad at a hillbilly and crashes his truck through a light pole because that's what the greatest hero of Earth would do.
Also,
I hate-
the Powerpuff Girls
I hate
have
it.
super sense, which is basically smelling, sight, and hearing, like, super to the max.
I think Superman also has that. It's
Yeah.
just
Wait, does
different.
Superman have night vision?
Superman can move in the stop time. In
It's
Justice
true.
League, he moves in the stop time.
Wait, the Powerpuff Girls can generate tornadoes. They have fire
That's
generation. Blossom and Bubbles can generate fire through their mouth, so they can breathe fire.
I'm pretty sure they also have a combo move where they become just a disc of light.
Yeah, that one's fucking
I want to
sick.
watch the Powerpuff Girls. Again, voting time, gentlemen. I vote
Powerpuff
PG.
Girls.
I'm
hands
going
down.
Powerpuff Girls.
I think it's Powerpuff Girls.
I think I'm going Powerpuff.
Bradley, fantastic question. Thank you very much. All right, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed the episode.
Oh
Stick
yes.
around. Yada yada. Good night.
Yada yada.